because we don't have much space. So if you would, just lift both feet. So you're going one at a time. So just take 2 steps. All right? Now I want you to do it again. I want you to point forward and say into purpose. Into purpose. So that's what we're headed, okay? Because sometimes you have to do some redefining. Sometimes you have to focus in on more things or one certain thing. So thank you for joining me for that moment. You may be seated. So now I want to go into something that is even more important. Sometimes you have to encourage others. So I would like for you to turn to someone near you and give them a high five or a fist bump. Now just tell them, I'm pushing you into purpose too. Now, look around you. This is the energy we're carrying today. Purpose doesn't just happen by accident. It happens when we move with intention. So let's keep the energy alive as we get started. Thank you.
All right, how everybody doing today? It's good to see all your faces this morning. As we get ready to get started, we're going to introduce our first speaker today. We ask that everyone please put your phones on silent or vibrate. Maybe they don't go off while someone's giving you some important tidbits here. All right. Everybody ready for this? Yeah. Good. So everybody has their notebooks or pens. We encourage everybody to take notes. If you want to record with your phones, you're welcome to do so. Post videos, post pictures, hashtag P2P or push the purpose. Let's share those on social media. Let everybody know what's going on. Let them know where you are, where they should be. All right. At this time, we're going to bring forward our first dynamic speaker for the day. Coming to the front now is Miss Jaleya Rodgers. She is a 9th grade native, former basketball player with a degree in business marketing and sports studies. After 6 years in corporate America and pursuing entrepreneurship, she became a licensed real estate professional in 2024. She's passionate about serving her community, mentoring young people, and growing in ministry. Newly married, let's clap it up for that. She loves traveling, trying new restaurants with her husband and friends, and forever stand by LeBron James as the greatest. That's something to be.
Early, y'all. Okay, I live in Memphis, and I said, let me come the night before, because driving from Memphis to Martin, I ain't gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. And then now I'm also pregnant, so I really don't even want to go out the bed. Okay, so thank you. So I'm really excited to be here. I just want to look at everybody's faces. I'm a people person, so hey y'all, hi. All right, so he already gave the introduction to who I am. So really, y'all, I'm just trying to find my way like everybody else, just looking for all the ways that I can be a blessing and serving in the different capacities that the Lord has gifted me in. And so I do love me some Jesus, so I'm probably gonna talk a lot about him. So aside from that, I do want to thank the Elevated and Redefining Success team and anyone else who had a hand in putting this event together. This is such a beautiful setup. It's a beautiful space. So thank you guys for including me and really just thinking of me, Keithan. So I appreciate it. So I'm just gonna hop right in. So I am going to be discussing navigating career changes without fear. How many of us struggle with fear? Are okay with being honest with that? I think some of our seasoned folks, they're like, yeah, we ain't worried about it. We don't pass that stage. They don't be scared of, right? So while I was working my final years in corporate America, I faced a moment where I knew I needed a change. So I had a very bumpy route to get to where I am now. So I started off playing basketball. Basketball is where I started experiencing most of my challenges because I tore both my ACLs in high school. So I was pretty good according to what, my coaches felt. I started as a freshman in high school, tore my ACL my sophomore year. Rehab back, came back my junior year, had a really good year, but for anybody who's ever been injured or played sports, that first year back, like it's cool, but I'm just getting warmed up, right? And so that summer going into my senior year, I was getting warmed up. I was ready. I was like, okay, junior year was cool. I worked out all summer, played at AU, had so many college offers, and then my senior year, literally the first game of the season, I tore my ACL on the other leg. And so I missed out and I ended up losing all my offers, all those things like that. And so I was completely discouraged. So I started facing fear of change immediately because I'm like, my whole plan for college was basketball, basketball, basketball. And so now I feel like that was snatched away from me. And so I ended up going to JUCO. Had most struggles there. I was a red shirt there. And it did end up being a really good fit for me. I ended up leaving that school after a year and a semester. Went to Dyersburg State for a semester. And then I ended up going to Walter State Community College. So that is a JUCO in East Tennessee. And it ended up being one of the top JUCOs really in the nation. And y'all, let me tell y'all. At that point, I had not played basketball for 3 years because I was out senior year, redshirted my freshman year of college. And then I took that year off basically where I was one semester at one school, the next semester at Dyersburg State. So that was 3 years of no real basketball. To go into one of the top programs for junior college, basketball. Y'all, when I tell y'all the first 3 weeks of practice, I'm calling my mom every day. I'm quitting. I'm done. I can't do this. This is absolutely insane, y'all. It was terrible. I had never contemplated quitting so much in my life. But I stayed. And I ended up getting a scholarship to a 4-year university and finished my final 2 years at Rockhart University in Georgia. So I went to national tournament twice, all those different things. So I experienced a lot of setbacks. I experienced a lot of challenges just in college. And so whenever I became an adult fully, graduated from college, I'm thinking I have all these plans of what I want to do. I had this thought of, okay, I have my degree in marketing. I wanted to go into a field where I'm working with a professional team or just a university where I'm working with their PR or their marketing department and things like that because I wanted to stay around athletics. Y'all didn't nobody call me back, okay? Not one. The only people that wanted to call me back was people that was in the sales department that wanted me to sell tickets. And I'm like, I don't want to be a salesperson. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. So that was very discouraging. So I ended up having to move back home to Dyersburg. And so I am from Dyersburg. So I was like, bro, I'm trying to get away from this little town. I'm trying to get as far away as I can get. And Lord, why am I back here again? And so I was extremely upset about that. I ended up working at a small company there for about a year or so. And then I said, the first thing smoking out of here, I'm getting out. And so about a year or two later, I moved to Memphis. Because I was like, maybe I can get on with the Grizzlies or the Redbirds or whoever. Y'all, again, none of it worked. And so, like I said, y'all, it's been so many challenges. And so, fast forward, I finally got a corporate job and I thought it was all cute. I'm a country girl. I was a tomboy my whole life. I started working at an insurance agency with Northwestern Mutual as a recruiter. And I thought I was the stuff, y'all. My first day at work, I came in, I had my little blazer on, my little heels. I said, yeah, okay, y'all thought this country girl wasn't gonna be nothing. Look at me, I was excited. Until I realized what was required. I was like, I don't like this place. Y'all, corporate America was not for me personally because I am a very opinionated person. I'm also a person, I respect people, but for me, I just never understood in the space. Now, I did have some not so great places I worked. So if you are blessed with a great work culture where you are, God bless you, okay? Pray for that. Whenever y'all are going into different spaces, pray for a good work culture. I did not have that at most of the places I worked. And so when I worked there, it was just all about elitism. It was all about big eyes, little U's, taking credit for the work that you're doing, all of that. And I couldn't handle it, y'all. I just wasn't the one. And so I didn't last very long, to say the least. And so I ended up getting laid off from that job, and then COVID hit. I said, boy, this is a mess right here. So, fast forward again. I was off of work for about a year and a half, and I started a cleaning business. I was like, well, we gotta find some coins somewhere. So I started a cleaning business for those who don't know me. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Like, everybody got a hustle, a business, or this or that. And so I'm accustomed to figuring it out. And so I was like, well, let me get this cleaning business started. Everybody need their house cleaned. I know these rich folks, they going back to work after COVID. They want somebody to come clean their house. So I started doing that. Well, eventually, it wasn't really panning out the way I wanted it to. And so I started filling out applications again. So, while I was working my final years in corporate America, I faced a moment where I knew I needed a change. So I had went from being able to make my own schedule, I went from being extremely independent, being able to be creative about what I did, to back in a corporate America environment. And it just, again, it was not a good space for me. I felt suffocated. I felt like no matter how much work I did, it was never appreciated. When I looked for an opportunity to propel forward, like, hey, you know, because I'm always helpful. Like, I'm always looking for ways to make things better. So whenever I wasn't getting acknowledgement and different things like that, I'm like, they don't do nothing. They be sitting over there chilling, drinking coffee, going to the bathroom, going to the break room, getting snacks. I'm over here. I'm like, hold on now. I said, what they get promoted for? And then when I actually did go to ask for a raise, because they were only paying me $42,000 a year. And living in Memphis, to be in a safer area.
Yeah, for sure.
I said, the math is not mathing here. So I went, because at this point, I had gained a lot of relationships. I knew what certain people were making. I worked with a lot of salespeople, and then I worked with managers who I knew the only reason why they had the role they had is because of the people they knew. Because when we went to our business meetings, they were clueless. Our GM would ask questions, and they would just be like, well, I mean, yeah, I was thinking about that. And I'm like, that's your answer? Like, that's your answer? And I knew this man was making 6 figures. I knew it. And I was like, yeah, y'all gonna have to give me at least 50, just 50, just so I can comfortably live in a safe place, be able to buy groceries. I wanna go to the gym consistently. I wanna do all these things, but I can't do that because I'm stressed about Lord. My car note due, the rent coming up, because rent was high. And so I went and asked my GM for a raise. They wanted me to prove what all I did. So I began to list out different things, and they started saying, well, that's a part of your job description. I said, ooh, okay. So eventually I told them, I'm about to go. Like, I'm getting out of here. So I get out, and I tell them, I write my 2 weeks notice, I give it to them, and then they start begging me to stay. So let me give y'all a quick little glimpse at this. Prior to me coming in and filling that role, they had not had anybody in that role for about, I want to say like maybe 6 to 9 months. And the previous person did not do their job at all. So when I came in, they were like, oh, you learned so fast. Oh, wow, you did that quickly. Well, dang, we got to find something else for you to do. Okay, well, how about this? Can you do this? Oh, dang, that's a great idea. Can you do this? So I'm getting all of these compliments. But then when I actually go to ask for a raise, because what you're telling me is I'm going above and beyond. What you're telling me is I'm exceeding your expectations. So in my head, 1 + 1 = 2. I should get a raise. Or it should be at least negotiable. So whenever I was hit with a hard no, immediately I was like, yeah, I gotta go. And so I get put in my 2 weeks, and they immediately was like, well, Jaleya, why do you gotta go? The audacity. I was just like, what? And so I told them, I said, look, I was honest with them people. I said, I can't afford to stay here and pay for this rent. I'm going home to my parents' house. So I want to encourage y'all, if you gotta go hit reset, go hit reset. Y'all, I'm trying to tell y'all, yeah, but stop worrying about what people think about you, because your credit score gonna be hit at 200. I said, Lord, I ain't hitting that far. I can't go that low. Because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to build it back. I like to shop too much. I like to do stuff. No. So I said, I'm going back home. So I went back home, and they were like, well, we have an opportunity. Maybe you can work in the Jackson office. So they actually created a space for me in a Jackson office. And I'm like, so y'all would go through all this trouble to create a space for me in another place that is completely outside of anything that y'all have ever done, but you won't give me a raise? I said, I'll go ahead and work it out. I'll take y'all little coins because I'm getting home. I ain't got no rent no more. I'll go ahead and collect that check. But the whole while, I was planning what my next move was going to be. And so, as I was navigating this change, I knew I needed it because these people don't appreciate me, clearly. Like, they say all these things, but when it comes to actually compensating me for what I bring to the table, they weren't ready to do it. But fear told me I wasn't ready. Because all I could think about was, man, the last time I tried this, it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. And I also felt like, well, I have to do my time because my parents, they very old school. My mom been at her job forever. And so she like, y'all generate, y'all just don't want to take nothing. Y'all don't want to stay nowhere. And I had to politely tell my mother, Mom, I don't disagree. I do understand we are a generation who we want to run up the ladder very quickly. I said, but I also think that we're a generation who have also learned our worth. We've also learned that if I'm going to college and getting in debt to get a better job, I should not be struggling to simply pay rent for my necessities. I'm not living in a luxury place. I'm living in a basic housing where I feel safe. And if I cannot pay that, that is a problem. And so I felt that in the back of my head, well, you gotta do your time. So maybe I just gotta struggle for a little while. But that didn't sit right with me. And then the last thing that I was fearing is I had failed any other time I tried betting on myself, is how I felt. That's what the thoughts were. So today, I want to share how we can navigate career changes without fear, so we can pursue purpose with confidence. So we're living in a time where our generation and younger generations, young professionals, creatives, entrepreneurs are redefining success to mean forging our own paths and leading into purpose instead of subscribing to the idea that success is a one-lane highway, that there's only one way to get there, because there's not. So along the way, we often face fear of failure. How many of us feel failure? Like, in and of itself, like, you just, I don't want to fail, right? And then we also face the fear of what others think about the path that we choose, whether it be our parents, our friends, or just whoever else. If it's not conventional to them, they have things to say, and sometimes that can cause us not to step out on what we believe we should do. And then finally, even the fear of succeeding. Have any of you guys ever feared succeeding? I know I have, because I'm like, Lord, okay, if I do succeed at this, if this idea works, will I be able to handle this? Like, will I actually be able to manage it? Will I be able to continue to satisfy the clients or the customers, or will I continue to be able to put out this type of work or these ideas? And so we have all these different fears. So the most recent shift that I had, of many, as y'all can clearly tell by my backstory, came when I shifted from 9-to-5 sales department to a full-time entrepreneur with real estate. And I'll never forget the fear I felt around simply losing the financial security, knowing I was going to get a paycheck every other week. Like, it was gonna come like clockwork. Even if I kind of dilly-dallied at work that week, I was gonna get paid, right? And then the thought of starting over again, learning a whole new industry, learning all new methods, just putting a whole new type of energy behind what I was doing, rebranding, all the things. I was like, Lord, that's a lot. So I'm going to share with you what the role of fear is. So fear shows up in many disguises, sometimes as caution. How many of us are really cautious about what we do, but we can kind of admit it's a little bit of fear too? Anybody? Right? We just kind of overthink. We're always like, well, I don't want to, but really it's fear. It also comes as comparison. So, well, I don't want to go yet because, you know, see this person over here, they do this like this and that, and so, you know, maybe I need to wait until I can do it like that. And then it often, especially for me, y'all, it comes disguised as procrastination or delayed action. So just simply not doing it, like just like, you know, let me make it a little bit better, you know. Well, I want to have a full plan, like from A to Z. I'm going to have everything planned out before I move forward. And so fear isn't proof that you can't do something. It's proof that you're stepping into something that simply requires faith. It's easy to just do what everybody else does. That's easy. But whenever you are going into your purpose, we have to understand that our purpose is as unique as our fingerprints, right? So no two purposes are exactly alike. You may do things similar to someone else, but whose for you is for you. Your lane is your lane. And if you stay in your lane, that's going to require faith because you've not seen someone do what you do, how you do it.
Right.
So you can take pointers from people. You can definitely learn. This is what we're doing in here now. You learn from different people. You pull from their experiences. But at the end of the day, your path is going to look different. And so I want to encourage each of you that as you are navigating the path of your purpose, understand that even if you've never seen it before, that doesn't mean that it's not the right thing for you to do. Okay? Next, fear is like the wall you hit. Do I have anybody that runs in the room? Do I have any runners? Okay, just a couple. Okay, I used to run cross country. And so fear is like the wall you hit after running about a mile, like that first mile, at the beginning of a very long run. But it doesn't mean stop. It means you're right at the brink of breaking through the resistance to experience what many refer to as the runner's high. So if you ain't never ran for real, let me tell y'all, it's a really great, habit to start. Because that runner's high, you feel like you're about to die at first. Like you really feel like your lungs, they feel like they are literally like suppressing and your legs start cramping a little bit. But once you get past like that mile and a half, you start getting this stride. And you literally don't feel your legs no more. You're just going. You're just like, wow, we're just out here running. Like the birds are chirping, all the things. And the runner's high is such an amazing experience. And so it's also much like the apprehension you feel as you climb the rails of a roller coaster, only to experience the breathtaking exhilaration as you propel forward through all the twists and turns, yet desiring to do it again. How many of y'all like roller coasters? Like you be terrified to go on it, but then after you do it, you be like, let's do it again, Okay, right? I'm like, Lord, did I lose my mind getting on this thing? And then once you get done, you be like, let's go again. That is literally what life is like when it comes to pursuing purpose. When it comes to facing fear. Like initially you're like, have I lost my mind? Like this cannot be a good idea. And then when you get on the other side of fear, you're like, oh, what's next? Let's try this again. Let's go again. This is how you build up faith, not only in yourself, but also in knowing that God has your back. And so I want to share with you just a few principles. So a few principles for navigating change. So my first one is clarity of purpose. You have to have clarity of purpose if you're going to navigate change well. So when I ask myself, why was I created? What did God have in mind when he created me? I realized my purpose was less about a title or a field and more about spaces that allowed me to show up as my best self and exercise the gifts I was given. So how many of us have looked for purpose in a title? Like you thought that what I'm supposed to do in life had a job title. I was like that, and I was like, bro, I don't see anything that I feel like really fits me. I'm looking, I'm like, I don't know, I could do that, And then it wasn't until I realized, like, no, you just need the space to be fully who you are. It could be any title. That is why